I never knew what it was like to have more than $100 in my bank account for many years. When I think about how I survived, I could stretch 20 euros for a week. And there were times where I'm like, I was so hungry and my stomach was like growling so hard, I would literally force myself to sleep. When you're asleep, you don't know how hungry you are. I mean, you're knocked out. I would wake up starving, of course, but at least for those like 6-7 hours, I wouldn't be able to think about how hungry I was. My name is GLO, and I'm a travel blogger. I've been to almost 80 countries across 6 continents, and I am a creator. I'm first generation American to 2 Nigerian parents. And I think with a lot of us immigrants, travel was something you did for survival or to visit family. Leisure travel isn't really something that's a thing in our culture. So travel was never something that was like accessible to me or something that I thought would be a part of my day-to-day life. We have a joke that like when Nigerian moms are pregnant, people ask them like, oh, what are you having? Like a boy or girl? And they say, a doctor. I'm having a doctor. They determine like what they want you to be before you have a chance to even like start walking. It's like doctor, lawyer, or disappointment. So for the most part, like I was like, oh, being a doctor sounds cool. Like it doesn't seem that bad. You know, my mom's always talked it up. So I was like, oh, okay, my mom wants me to be a doctor. Like, cool, done. Until I took biochem, until I went to college as a pre-med major and realized it's one thing to do hard work. It's another thing to do hard work that doesn't excite you or interest you in the slightest. There was just nothing about it that was even remotely interesting or satisfying. And I was like, this cannot be my life. And I broke down in the bathroom just crying after another failed test. I was like, why am I doing this to myself? I don't want any of this. And I finally go to my counselor, like crying, like, I don't want to do this. Like, she's like, oh, just change your major. I'm like, no, my mom, I can't. I end up creating an interdisciplinary major with arts and mass media. I was able to study abroad. That was like my first trip outside of the country, really. I always knew that I was very expressive. I wasn't very talented when it came to like artistry or anything like that. So I knew that my words were gonna be my talent. So when I first started traveling in 2012, it made sense to just make a travel blog. My biggest hope or dream when I first started travel blogging, it started off as free travel. And then it was like, okay, get paid to travel. And then it was like, okay, hit 6 figures with my paid travel jobs. Multiple times. I mean, Montenegro, Croatia, Berlin. I remember being down to my last like $10. That was my frame of reference when it came to money because I never had much of it. But I was also so privileged and so happy to just be in another country and meeting all these amazing people that my lack of funds was an afterthought. It's like I was rich in memories and rich in experiences that if I had $5 in my pocket, like that didn't dampen my day because I was like, I'm watching the sunset over, you know, river scene in Paris, like I'll be okay. The more I just shared my struggles, the quicker the audience came. I really just talked about negative travel experiences, how I was failing as a travel blogger, things that I was learning for the first time. And all of a sudden, these people were like, whoa, GLO, no one's talking about this. Thank you. And you know, my articles go viral, get shared thousands of times, translated in multiple languages and syndicated on other like online media. And I'm like, what? I think that was one of the biggest ways I like overcame all of the doubt and the unknown. I let people into my struggle and into my journey. I wasn't afraid to share the process. And I was in Jamaica last year when I realized my blog hit 6 figures and I still wasn't happy. And I was waking up, waiting for that moment to like hit me like, you did it. Like finally, like, can you believe it? All this work. And for 3 weeks, it just never came. And so I fell into depression. I was like, why don't I feel that thing yet? And I realized I had been building up this life like for myself, but it felt devoid of purpose because I wasn't helping anyone else. What good is building up a life for yourself if you're not able to help other people do the same thing? And I always say the dream is getting paid to do what you love, but the legacy is built by teaching others how you got there. So now I teach the Blog Like a Boss course, which has been an incredible journey to transition into like an online course creator. It's crazy how life works. When you help other people reach their goals, you in turn reach all of yours. I just hit $500,000 in revenue this year between like my book, retreats, courses, travel blog work, social media influencing work, brand collab work. Sometimes I look at figures and I'm like, I never would have thought like this would ever be attached to my name. And it's such a great feeling, not because of the number itself, but because you know the story and the process and the journey behind it. To be able to make a living doing what I love is one of the most incredible and humbling feelings in the world. This wasn't always possible, so I think it's such a privilege and an honor to be able to turn your passion into a paycheck. To any creatives who have strict parents or parents that want them to live a very specific life, you will literally drive yourself insane trying to please them. Understand that your life is no one else's but your own. They might be disappointed temporarily or discouraged, but as long as you're doing something that makes you happy, you can't put a price on that. Please don't give up on yourself. Please don't try to live someone else's life. You are not an extension of what your parents or cousins or aunts or uncles couldn't do with their life. You owe it to yourself to chase your dreams.